Hi there, this is 1/3 of 5-Hole Fantasy Hockey. I'm your host for today, Mike Rogerson. I'll be bringing you an update. Something I'm really excited about is that there's been a big pickup in fantasy playoff hockey this season. First of all, you can find us at FHF Hockey on Twitter. You can always find us and or 1,300 other people talking fantasy hockey in our Discord. So you can join that for free and talk hockey pretty much 24/7 with people from, I think we got about 13 different countries at this point, so it's going strong over there. I do want to plug our Dynasty series that will be coming up following the playoffs. We'll have a Dynasty series that TJ and Zach are going to have a few different guests coming in. So far we got Will Scouch, Cam Robinson, Scott Wheeler, Dave Hall, some of our blasts from the past Dynasty episodes, all four great guests, and a bunch more on the way. So keep your eyes peeled in June. I'm pretty useless in the Dynasty realm, as anyone who's playing me right now can clearly see. So I'm going to sit back and take a listener seat as the boys do that. So they're going to be taking a back seat right now while they get prepared for that, as I'll take care of your playoff action for you. After the Dynasty series concludes, we'll be getting into a whole series of mock drafts throughout the remainder of the summer leading up to the preseason and right into the season. We like to create our own 5-hole ADP and get a real sense of what the real world's doing with drafts. So rather than the three of us just patting each other on the back and drafting just 3 people and pretending we have 12 teams, we actually will spend the entire summer doing mock drafts with real people. So keep an eye open for those. Generally, we do them on Mondays, but they do tend to move around a little bit. Another thing we're going to be doing in June as well, TJ is going to be hosting a live chat on Discord, which we will be cutting into an episode as well, based around keepers. So in addition to the Dynasty stuff, there's also going to be a keeper session where he is going to have a question and answering all kinds of keeper related questions. So hop on our Discord if you want to be a part of that, and keep an eye open in June. That's going to be a good one. You can ask some specific questions related to your own situation and possibly get those answered from the man himself. That'll be a good time as well. I would like to give a shout out to our friends over at the Suspendables podcast. They've been plugging us. As Jim and Russ said over there, if they plug me, I got to plug them. And I hope they meant promote them on our show. So I'm going to go with that option rather than what else that might mean. I work with Jim on the Inside Curling podcast, which I edit as well. And Jim's one of the hosts there. And former great NHL player, Russ Courtnall. Guy played over 1,000 games at over 700 points, about 750 points. So he knows what he's talking about. Those guys kind of have a bit of a 5-hole, rough around the edges attitude over there as well. So check out their podcast. Great entertaining, and lots of cool vintage guests on there. All series of 5 games, other than obviously Colorado, who just destroyed their way through that series, as we all kind of, predicted. So in terms of the series, Leafs are leading Tampa 3-2 after that crazy last game. That's just been a killer series. And the weirdest series of the bunch so far, the season long, a very strange series, is Carolina's over Boston 3-2. That result isn't super weird. Just the way it's been going has been very, very home heavy. Carolina's up 3-2 there. St. Louis is up 3-2 over Minnesota. I find that one pretty predictable. And then LA over the Oilers. They're up 3-2 in that series, which I do not think many people predicted. I had the Oilers basically sweep, maybe losing 1. I know some people did see that LA was going to trap down and keep them at bay, and I mean they've been pulling it off. It's pretty crazy. I still think Edmonton's going to pull off that series, but that's 3-2 in one of the wildest games of the year. Incredible game to watch, actually, mostly because I don't give a shit who wins. But Pittsburgh New York game tonight was amazing in terms of back and forth lead changes. And once again, just showing that Crosby is the MVP of that series, hands down. Pittsburgh had the game in the bag. The Rangers were just defeated. They were just sitting still on the bench. It was over. Like, it was totally over. And then an accidental on purpose cheap shot kind of thing to Crosby's chin from the Trouba, who's just a beast. And Crosby's probably concussed. But given how bad he wants to make a run and this being the end of that team, I think he might magically not have a concussion. Because this is kind of it, realistically. We'll see what happens. Yes, Pittsburgh's still up 3-2 in that. But what a game, back and forth. The second Crosby went out, the Rangers scored 3 goals in no time. And then Gensel, who's just been a crazy man, scored again right away. And back and forth, back and forth. Shesterkin with some questionable goals, but he managed to pull together a .900 save percentage for once. First game in a while he hasn't been chased. Florida had a similar game against Washington. They looked like they were down and out and it was over. And basically at the exact same time as that Penguins-Rangers game was going on, Florida made a huge comeback and ended up winning 5-3 over the Capitals as well. Great, about an hour long of hockey. There was probably in like 20 minutes to half an hour, there was like 7 goals scored. It was amazing. My phone was going off like crazy. So the Panthers finally have gotten their shit together and they're up 3-2 over Washington. And the Flames beat the Stars. I think to me that one's pretty surprising too. I did expect the Flames to have a little easier time with Dallas. I'm not too shocked because, I mean, Dallas does have the old veterans who know how to play playoff hockey, how to trap it down a bit. Ottinger's looking just incredible. You know, after trying 4 different goalies this year, or 5 or whatever they went through, Ottinger is great, and he's showing it again. He's going to be something to look for in the next few years as well. And Jason Robertson, oh, man, I love that kid. So that's where all the series are at in terms of the NHL. Now let's take a look at our fantasy leagues.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Incredible response. Like, it was awesome to see how many people were into playing some fantasy in the playoffs this year. I've had a want myself to see more fantasy in the playoffs over the last few years and put a little bit together this year. I think we're going to expand on it a little next year. At any rate, we ended up with a couple of draft leagues, a couple of 12-team draft leagues that we kind of kept semi-private. This year, that's what we're going to be expanding on next season in the playoffs. So let's take a quick look at the leaderboard over there. In our first draft league, which affectionately called the Mike Bossy League. This is a tight race in this one. I think you should lose points for your team name. Team name number 9.
Number 9. Number 9. Number 9.
Their team's got Kopitar, Pavelski, Tavares at center, Marchand, Ovechkin, Oshie, Rust on the wings, and then Yossi, Krug, and Muzzin on D. So that team has been very hot, but it's also on the back of it looking like quite a few players who might get eliminated here. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, I think there's a good chance Boston's out, which is going to eliminate Marchand. Obviously, Ovechkin, if Washington gets knocked out, Oshie has been having a hell of a playoff, actually. 5 goals in 5 games, 6 points. He's been fantastic. Yossi's obviously out. So this is a good example of it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with this, because in this league we have 3 moves a week, fairly standard amount for a lot of leagues. It's a 12-team points league. We've got goals, assists, shots on goal, special teams points, hits and blocks, and no goalies because goalies are stressful. Unless you're Kevin Woodley, I don't want to deal with it in the playoffs. So with those 3 moves, that seems like, oh, great, I'll just make some moves. But if playoff fantasy, you really got to think, like, who's going to be left? You know, when round 2 comes around, there's just not that many players left playing. So your moves got to be pretty well thought out, and you do need to play the long game a bit. So we'll see how team name number 9 deals with that when round 2 comes along. In second, some hot young player named Raj. Let's see who this guy's got on his team. Barkov, Rodriguez, Braden Shen, Evander Kane, Panarin Perron, Raquel Falk, Letang, and Colton Parayko. Now, Colton Parayko was an ad I just made, a planned ad. I planned to drop some D. And you can hear there, I did invest a little bit in St. Louis. I knew a lot of people had picked Minnesota. I feel really strongly that St. Louis is just too good of a playoff style team and would definitely make it to the second round. And that, to me, is a huge thing. That is the biggest thing about fantasy. Obviously, going to the finals is great, especially for your elite players, your first and second round picks. But really important to have a high percentage of your players get into the second round because, like I was saying a minute ago, it's great that you have pickups, but you tend to get into some pretty deep dives pretty quick. So yeah, you want those drafted players to be getting as many games in the first 2 rounds as you can, and try not to have to use too many picks. And this is the time around game 5, game 6 to start trying to see who you think's going to win. Maybe make some moves ahead of time. See who's in third. We'll just run the top 3 of each league here. I do want to throw another shout out. Thanks to Fantrax again for making this possible. Gotta love the options Fantrax gives you for setting up essentially any kind of league you want and morph it. And it's not quite as user-friendly as Yahoo to some people, but that's because you can't really do anything in Yahoo. It is convenient for beginner leagues, but if you want to custom build a league or build a playoff league or make up any crazy scoring or anything, Fantrax is definitely the way to go. And it doesn't take long to be comfortable with. Only a couple of uses and you forget all about Yahoo. Yeah, third place. Sorry, yeah. Third place in the Mike Bossy League, we've got Lil Crocs. So I'll give that name a thumbs up. I like that one. Heavily riding on the back of Leon Draisaitl. So we'll be curious to see. That one could end up probably going 7, and I think Edmonton's going to pull it off, to be honest. Then he's got Jeek, Joel Eriksson Ek, Evgeny Malkin, rounding out the centers. Ross Colton, Kaprizov, Kreider, Reinhart, Dursey, Fox, and Spurgeon. So a pretty good all-around team. He definitely seems to have taken the approach of spreading out across multiple teams. He's got Kaprizov and Spurgeon from Minnesota, who I feel like they're going to be eliminated. And then he's got Kreider and Adam Fox on the Rangers, who they sure turned it around this game tonight, but Rangers could very well be eliminated over the next 2 games. Although if Crosby's out, I do think it's over for Pittsburgh. He was on a mission this year, and if he comes back, Pittsburgh wins. I think if he's out, I think the Rangers win. I think it is that simple. I do not think, God, I'm just trashing on Chester again, but I do not think he's proven he's not the difference maker in the series. It seems to be revolving on Crosby just about 100%. So that's the Mike Bossy League. We've got new team number 9 in first, myself in second, and Lil Crocs in third in the Mike Bossy League. Take a quick run over to the other drafted league, another 12-team points league, exactly the same setup. If you're setting up this kind of draft league in the playoffs, it's really important to take into consideration that there are, half of the teams aren't playing, so your player pool is half as good. In this situation, we have no goalies. So there's no goalies to draft. So you really want to keep the amount of teams and players down to make sure that you're not, shooting yourself in the foot where you're like, come time to make some pickups and there's literally no players left. So that's a tip. You want to keep your leagues fairly small like this. So in the second draft league here, affectionately called the Guy Lafleur League, Hook and Scramble is number 1 right now with a pretty healthy lead, actually. He's recently taken over the lead, but he has rocketed past. Centers, he's got Kempe, Kuznetsov, and McKinnon. One of those things, like McKinnon, 6 points in 4 games is great, but you've got these other teams who are going to play 7 games. So that is the one problem with having a totally dominant team like Colorado. You just get less games. But then again, how are you going to turn down McKinnon in the playoffs? Gensel, Lettinen, and DeBrusk. But it's a good-looking team. I mean, Kuznetsov's probably on his way out. Be interesting to see what happens to Kempe. Kempe's having a nice little run here. DeBrusk, Pasternak, Carlson, Letang, and Taves. And Crosby's on the bench, so a big reason why he's been doing so well is because of the Crosby-Gensel. So he obviously invested in Pittsburgh and Letang. He's open, Crosby's healthy, and Pittsburgh continues on this run they're on because that would be huge for this team. if Pittsburgh gets eliminated, that's the fun of playoff hockey. You can go from first to last by, a series. So there's a extra layer of strategy in terms of like thinking ahead, and which is part of the fun. Second place in the Guy Lafleur League is Trevor Tonic, who's actually, you may have heard about Trevor on our podcast last season. He helped out. He helped us with a bunch of the playoff intros. He's a stand-up comedian. He's friggin' hilarious. Also an audio editor, and he's helped us out from time to time with when we pumped out 30 episodes in 32 days, 31 episodes in 32 days, I guess, went through every team, and Trevor helped us out with that. So thanks, Trevor. And he drafted first, and he is now currently sitting at second. I do like the looks of his team, but he also is going to have some decisions to make here. He's got Sebastian Aho, so Carolina's probably going to move on. Bergeron having a good playoff, when doesn't he? McDavid. So that is the key right there for Trevor. We're going to get 7 games, which is huge for him. David getting 7 games is going to be helpful, and if they can pull it off, Trevor's got a good shot because, McDavid himself is he's angry, and man, he's the best player in the world. One of the most exciting players in the world on this team, too, is Kaprizov. He has 7 goals, just killing it. This guy is incredible as well. Also, though, probably eliminated. Kreider, another fantastic goal scorer, been doing fairly well, 4 points at 5 games, but Kreider is, we'll see. Like I've said, the Rangers-Pittsburgh series is going to be something to watch, how this unfolds. Hartman as well, so I think Minnesota here, you're going to lose a couple of guys, Trevor. Sorry, buddy. Hartman's been the setup man. He's got 5 assists to Kaprizov's 7 goals. And Trevor went a little deep, banking on Florida. Pulling this one out, he's got Hornquist. And then for D, he's got Hanifin, Sergachev, and Jakub Slavin. Your D's garbage, Trevor. Looks like Calgary's going to pull it off. Hanifin's only got 1 assist in 5 games and not a ton of peripherals, so he's not doing too much for you. Sergachev, 2 assists in 5 games, not a huge peripheral output. Not bad, but not enough to be exciting. But if Tampa pulls it off against Toronto, which, man, I hope Tampa wins, just because of how much shit I've talked, and I bet on it, but I like Toronto. I just finally decided to bet against them, and seems to be the year they decide to do, or maybe. But, no lead is safe in Toronto, so we'll see what happens there. So that's the Lafleur League. We got Hook and Scramble in first, Trevor Tonic in second, and in third, we've got Tom Tron. Anybody who knows anything about 5-hole who's been listening for any amount of time, Tom Tron's been with TJ and Zach for a long time. He's one of our favorite patrons. Unfortunately, a Leafs fan. He is 100% all in. He's got Jeff Carter, fair, but then he's got Matthews, Bunting, Nylander, Morgan Riley, while Toronto's killing it. Tom Tron's going to be killing it when Tampa Bay comes back and wins it. I called Tampa in 6, but they're obviously going to win it in 7, and then Tom Tron's hooped. But in real life, there's a better chance that Toronto's probably going to win this series, and he's going to continue to do very well with his fake rookie Michael Bunting and the best goal scorer in the world in Austin Matthews. Zuccarello from Minnesota, fine. Tony D, he's got Tony D as well, so Carolina's probably going to move on, and Tony D has been leading the league in chirps and social media per 60, but he's also got 8 points in 5 games, so that's a great pickup. Gustav Forsling, probably going to get a lot of games out of Florida, although Forsling hasn't been doing much. He's only got 2 assists so far, but he's a good guy. And in some leagues, he may be available, so if you need to start making some moves, I think Gustav Forsling might be someone to look for. People who play a lot of fantasy know about Forsling, but a lot of people who are just casual fantasy players, he's not a big name yet, even though he's pretty dope, and he's on Florida, so he's going to go really far. And then he's got Morgan Riley, as I said. So I hope for all of our sake in the Discord, Tom Tron loses. But no, buddy, I love you, and your team's pretty killer. Heavily followed his heart and went for Toronto. So those are our 2 draft leagues. And then there was those are sort of, like I said, we kept those under wraps, wanted to figure out good scoring systems and stuff like that, make sure we like it and the format. So we'll be breaking that into a few more leagues next season's playoffs. The big league created a pick'em style pool. So in Fantrax, you can have up to 200 players in a league. There's a few premium features to create this league, but Fantrax being Fantrax, they are letting everybody use all the premium features right now to build your playoff leagues. So that's what allows me to set it up so that you can set up, well, I call it a pick'em league. I've seen it called a pick'em league. But in order to have 200 people in a league, you obviously can't have a draft because you'd get one player each. So you need to have a league set up where you just pick from the entire league. You pick from a pool. So the way this league worked, pick 5 players at each position. No goalies because as I explained before, I'm not Kevin Woodley and I don't need that stress right now. Hopefully I get to talk to him again before next season starts. He always makes me feel like I understand goalies a little bit better. God, that guy's so smart. At any rate, in this pool, no goalies. Our top few players here, we got Magnet 14 has recently taken over the lead as of today from B Deets 9. And he's been in first for a lot of the first few games here, but he's dropped into second. Terry DeSmith in third. J-Bus 21 fourth. Manger Mare, I don't know what that means. I'm not even going to look it up, and I just said it, so tell me what it means. Jack AH is in sixth, and then Dude Wears Makar in 7th, Mighty Mast in 8th, Machiavelli's 90 in 9th, and our boy TJ holding down 10th, keeping us in the picture here as a 5. Well, I'm down in 5. Oh, man, let's scroll down. There's 150 teams in the league. Where is old Raj here? Oh, I've rocketed up the charts. I'm at number 50, so I'm in the top third percentile. This league, there's no moves. So the where you are in the beginning is not where you're going to be in the end. So the way this league was set up is you just pick your team, sit back and watch it go. So a lot more to do with prediction because there's literally no moves. So congratulations to you folks who are up on top. Let's take a look at Magnet's team just to see who is the best possible team right now. So his centers, as I said, you got 5 of each. So he's got Barkov, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Matthews, McDavid. A lot riding on Edmonton coming back. And I think that's going to be common for a lot of people picked McDavid and Draisaitl. Left wings, he's got Gensel, Huberdeau, Kaprizov, Marchand, and Ovechkin. Some great choices. Again, you just got to look at who's going to move on, really, because everyone's going to have the 5 best, but are they going to be the 5 best over the duration of the playoffs? So Kaprizov probably out. Marchand probably out. Ovechkin probably out. Gensel, we're talking a lot here about is the Rangers looked like they can turn it around if Crosby isn't in the picture. And I think it instantly became a mind game with the way Crosby's playing that. And what happened when he left that game today, that it's like, he's the man. So I think if he comes back, the Rangers might even be a little intimidated. And if he's out, I think they're just going to walk all over Pittsburgh. But again, that's part of what this is about here. So he's going to be potentially losing all of his left wings and half of his centers by round 2. So that's something to think about. Right wings, he's got Kreider, Marner, Pasternak, Stamkos, and Matthew Tkachuk. Again, great choices. Obviously, probably the 5 of the best right wingers in the league. The way things are looking right now, Pasta's probably going to be eliminated. Stamkos possibly. And then on D, Adam Fox, Victor Hedman, Roman Josi, Chris Letang, and Kale Makar. This team basically looks like the 5 top players at every position, which in a season-long fantasy, that's fantastic. But in the playoffs, that's just, you got to pay attention to that extra thing of who's going to be eliminated, because the best players aren't always on the best team. So, if you're riding on McDavid and Draisaitl, that's all or nothing kind of. So that's, again, the fun and frustration of playoff fantasy. At any rate, that's much longer than I intended to go for. Next time around here at the end of this round 1, I'll do a recap of the leaders and who you want to be looking for picking up leading into round 2. Definitely hit us up on the Discord if you have any questions. We're answering them daily there, or on the Twitter at FHFH, or you can at me on Twitter as well. We got the Dynasty series with those great guests coming up. We've got the Keeper Q&As, the Keeper stream that we're going to be doing on Discord as well. A few other little surprises here and there. And, we like to keep busy over the summer. Just because there's no hockey doesn't mean there's no fantasy hockey. It's a great time to do all this extra stuff. And we'll be popping out a season year in review fantasy awards type of thing at the end of the playoffs when we get all the boys back in action. So I'll let you know again on Twitter and on the Discord when I will be doing the next playoff update. And again, it'll be kind of recapping more individual players once we get there. After the last game of round one, I'll pump out an episode that night. If the round's dragging on, I might put out another little surprise in between there. But we'll talk to you later. Love you.